Do you think the Shi'ar go on in the X-Men universe or not?
Well, I created them in the X-Men universe.
Okay.
They've been a major supporting cast ever since Lilandra beamed into Charlie, into Charlie's life when he was at Misty and Colleen's. So that's at least a quarter of a century, if not 30 years. Oh, sorry. Time just caught up with me. Why not?
Well, the argument is that the Shi'ar, so they take the X-Men off of Earth too much, so and give them, and so they're not concentrating on human affairs.
I mean, the way I look at it is, take Manhattan. The Marvel Universe is the equivalent of one room in one small apartment in the Sears Tower. That's where all the Marvel heroes are dealing with. Exiles has everything else. So, it's a different sense of perspective. I've totally lost you, haven't I? Yeah, see? I used to have a sense of humor. I used to be good at this. The point is that you have a dozen X-Men books, 100 or so active mutants, depending on which side of the House of M you're standing, the House of M issues you're standing on, and telling the stories. Sometimes the writers want to go off Earth, sometimes they don't. You follow the writer's instinct, the editor's instinct. At the moment, they've got this whole storyline involving, what is it, the 12th or 13th Summers brother? 27th, 29th, 106th? How many of them are there? I used to have a sense of humor. This is so disconcerting. Maybe I should just sign comics. I don't know. They have to fit them somewhere, and it's up to the editors to decide whether or not the writer has a good idea and run with it. And obviously, the editors and Axel and the other guys thought that this is a good idea, and they're running with it. And this year they're doing one arc is off-world, next year it won't be. That's the nature of writing. You follow your instincts and try and do what you think is best. Obviously they are. But that's mainstream, and that's the core Marvel comics universe of stories. And at the risk of flogging was undoubtedly a dead horse, Exiles doesn't have much connection with that, because, as I said, facetiously then, but seriously now, figure it as the Marvel Universe is basically Chicago. These are stories that take place there, but Chicago is within a much wider spectrum of Illinois, the United States. Exiles is the global FBI. They're trying to keep the peace everywhere, and sometimes it'll happen. Something will go wrong in New York. Sometimes something will go wrong in Santa Fe or Los Angeles or Sao Paulo or Rwanda. They go where they're needed, whether it's here, there, or everywhere. And the difference is that in the Marvel Universe, you've got a couple of hundred heroes to deal with the events on one world. In Exiles, you've got 8 gifted but overtaxed heroes trying to keep things together in every dimension imaginable. So they're having a lot of fun, but it's stressful. And of course, you should read it. Okay, anyone else? Yeah.
Man.
No, I'm the one who has...
Okay,
a non-functional intellect.
How did you let Storm get married to the Black Panther?
Like I had any control over it? One, I don't write the X-Men anymore.
Yeah.
Two, I'm not editorial director anymore. So I am but another contract employee, a writer, and this was a decision made by, in the age-old term, higher authority, i.e. Joe. You know, it seemed like a great idea at the time, I assume. Evidently,
Just miss Storm with the Mohawk.
Well, as a reader, my personal reaction is I don't want to see her as anybody's second banana. I don't care if it's the Panther or Reed Richards. Storm is a lead. Storm, if the book were Storm and T'Challa, or Storm and the Black Panther, maybe. If she had her own series, Storm, that would be cool. But to make it the Black Panther and she's not even on the cover as a title character. So she's just...
Is she probably a Skrull anyway?
God, I hope so.
What?
She's probably just a Skrull anyway.
What have the Skrulls got to do with it?
It's a storyline they've been thinking of having where they revealed that a lot of people especially superheroes, were secretly Skrulls.
Yeah, everyone's
So what happened to the superheroes?
They don't know.
You mean they never existed?
No, they've been put into a...
No, they're in suspended animation designers.
I think that this is how they came up with to get rid of the Peter Parker supposed secret identity thing.
The Peter Parker what? No, I thought he cut a deal. Didn't he cut a deal with the devil?
Yeah, because...
Cool. I mean, so I guess maybe she's a Skrull or he's a Skrull or whatever, and then they can jump up and say, oh, they're not really married because it was a Skrull. I mean, it worked. It's not like we haven't tried it before with
Johnny Storm's wife and
Johnny Storm's wife. Yeah, what's her face? Skrullhead.
Alicia. She's a Skrull.
Of course, they had kids. But see, that's the other problem. That's the other problem with T'Challa and Aurora getting married, because, like it or not, when you are a royal head of state, there's only one purpose for getting married. That's to guarantee there is a next generation. So, if T'Challa then announces he's gotten married, if he and Storm get married, the amount of pressure on them both to produce an offspring is, in traditional monarchist context, should be irresistible. I mean, it's such that the pressure of being a royal and of generating offspring has driven the Empress of Japan crazy, and I believe sadly her daughter-in-law. You know, they just can't handle the strain. So one has to assume at some point in the future, Aurora, to carry this to its logical conclusion, ought to get pregnant. At which point, she's pretty much had it as a character. I mean, she then turns into Sue Richards, which may or may not be a bad thing. I mean, Sue has a lot of action, but you keep having to balance that and the fact that she's looking after at least one, possibly two kids. Which, if there's anyone here who is in that position, is something of a challenge, even without being a superhero. But, as I said, this is all idle speculation from somebody sitting in the bleachers, since these relate to characters and books over which I have, at this point, no influence. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but I don't.
Comic Book Syndicate, assemble.